Flash Gordon, Paddy the Baddy. What do you say? There's so much talk around Paddy, and for some reason it was really fun to talk about his weight. I was never into it. I didn't think it was a cool gimmick. I thought it was weird. I really didn't understand why everybody thought it was interesting. Now, I'm on third base wearing a catcher's mitt because you guys did. It stuck around. But the reason I bring it up, I don't have a whole lot to his training. I don't know how long he's been in camp. Every time I go somewhere on Paddy, I've got to hear about the weight. I feel like this is a very big fight. Paddy the Baddy has had good placements, and he has drawn a lot of attention. I've watched the programs and the events that he's on, and I hear the reception and the pop from the crowd, but I'm sharing with you to go into a co-main of a pay-per-view. It's a big deal. I mean, you guys might remember when Dana White laid out the plan for him. And this was Dana off the top of his head. And this was after Paddy's last contest, and that was on home soil. So you got this crowd, they're going insane. You guys might remember the post-fight speech. And I mean, Paddy was very much the shining star. You want to talk about whose stock goes up after a show? It was Paddy, and he showed some incredible skills, which I'll at least 4-1 did not know that he had. I knew he could fight. I knew you could make some money. I knew that you could use a guy in a way. I did not know that he has right now world championship potential. I didn't know that. I thought he was awesome in his last fight, and I also don't believe he was at his best. When it came out about the weight cut, anybody else that had that narrative around them, the announcers would have been covering him from Jump Street. Well, his energy's going to go down. He's not going to be held up, and what a tough weight cut it was. He was the opposite. He was getting stronger. His opponent was wearing down when he had the same narrative, and then he comes and shares with us the emotional stress that he had to hide to make that walk, and therefore I maintain that he wasn't at his best, and I saw a young man who showed me no signs that he could not be the world champion. It was very impressive. Now, Dana laid out, I'm just trying to remind you guys what we're going to do with Paddy. Dana said, we're going to bring him to Boston or New York, and then we're going to take him to Vegas, and we're going to put him on pay-per-view. And I loved it when Dana laid that out. I wanted to know what it meant. Why Boston? How come New York? Is that media? Is that so they can get over the pond? I was very curious. Why there? Why the media mecca of the world, by example, New York, would be a precursor prior coming fight capital of the world in Vegas. So it's just an interesting thing for me, and to watch him propelled in this spot and to watch him go into a co-main event. Now, I'll just share and insert myself, which is, do you guys know who Jared Gordon is? I mean, that's a real question. Jared Gordon, it is all off the top of my head. He's 19-5. Do you know what 19-5 is like at 155 pounds? Can we all agree that 155 pounds is the hardest division in the history of our industry? You got a guy that's 19-5. Jared's moved around. I think you have to correct me. But Paddy's got a record of roughly 15-3. Now it comes down to opponents and who you're fighting, but I want to make sure that you understand the time frame of this fight, because 2 fights ago for Paddy was being very elusive with us, and he always has. I find what Paddy could do in the media, and I think that you guys would agree, good, entertaining. One thing that Paddy hasn't done that I've thought would help him is to call somebody out. He just hasn't done that. Guys come after him, and he's great with the barbs back, but he never says straight, hey, you know what, you pissed me off. I mean, that would just be a difference if you were to say Conor McGregor. You pissed Conor McGregor off. He's trying to get into it at craft services. He's going to call you, the wife, out. He's going to call the whole lot of them out before they fade to black, roll the credits. It's a different thing. I would have liked it if Paddy did, because I want to know what Paddy wants to do. Does Paddy want to be the world champion right now? Does Paddy want to come up slowly? Does Paddy want to get into the top 10, right? I mean, Sean O'Malley just went through this whole thing where Sean O'Malley could draw, he could get beautiful placements, he couldn't get the top guys to fight him. All of a sudden, he goes from not ranked, he's not very good, he's fighting easy guys, to the #1 guy in the world. Like, it's an incredible trajectory when you see how it happens, but Sean also showed his hand. He told people, this is what I want. I've just never heard that from Paddy, so I'm going to take you guys back to roughly March. And Gordon had the fight. Gordon had Paddy the Baddy. And Gordon, like anybody, needed his opportunity. He's got the skills. This is a brown belt. He's in the UFC. He's got a record. He's got a great team. He's got the skills. Now he's going to need the opportunity, and he thought that he had Paddy. He had a verbal commitment, or at least he believed he thought he had a verbal commitment. That's an exciting thing. You get a guy that can draw and you can get some attention. It's a really big deal. He thought that he had this and that they took it back from him and that they did it quietly. He thought, he was under the opinion, he was told, you got Paddy the Baddy, and here's the date. You got a beautiful placement. Here's where we're going to fight. He was excited. He went to bed thinking that. He wakes up, he doesn't have it. Reads that they canceled him. They found a way to get around him and then accepted somebody else, which would draw you to a conclusion that they thought he was a hard fight. It's just a compliment. I'm just sharing that with you. Like, this is a really hard match. You got a guy that goes 17, 18, and 3. You got a guy that's going 19 and 5. You got him at 155 pounds. You got him in a pay-per-view co-main over Darren Till, who's a former title challenger. I mean, not for nothing. It's an interesting placement on the card. And the one thing that is missing is not only am I coming out and I'm vouching for Gordon, not only is old Chael, man, you better watch this guy. And you better not overlook this guy. I'm here to just share a little bit more to the story, that it appears that Team Paddy at one point gave him a good look and came to that same conclusion. I think that makes it a little bit more intriguing. Let me know if you agree.